The rain had only just stopped when the little girl tugged at the edge of the CEO's coat. The lobby was crowded, workers rushing, heels clicking, phones ringing, but everything fell silent for him the moment he heard her trembling voice. She stood there shivering, her hair wet, her school bag torn. And then she said it, words so small yet powerful enough to shake the world of a man who believed nothing could surprise him anymore. Sir, my mom didn't wake up. In that instant, something inside him cracked. The powerful and famously unshakable CEO, Ethan Cole, felt the ground slip beneath his feet. His face drained of color, his breath caught, and with a voice he barely recognized, he whispered, "Show me!" Now, dear viewers, before we dive deeper into this emotional journey, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and in the beauty of helping those who have no one, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from. It truly helps us bring more meaningful stories to you. What happened next would change not only the girl's life, but Ethan's forever. Ethan had always been known as a man carved from stone. Strict, distant, work-driven, distant. A man who operated his world through precision and control, whose heart was sealed since the day he lost his own mother as a child. But something about this little girl, this stranger, felt painfully familiar. Her big hazel eyes, filled with tears, reminded him of himself at 8 years old, scared and alone, clutching onto a truth too big for such small hands. Her name was Lily Miller, just 6 years old, but with the quiet strength of someone who had learned early what it meant to survive. She had come to the office clutching a paper she found in her mother's purse, a business card Ethan had given to every new employee. Her mother, Grace Miller, had been a janitor at the company for barely 3 months, hardworking, soft-spoken, invisible to most. But not to Lily. Hey! And now Lily was telling Ethan that Grace lay still in their tiny one-room apartment, unmoving. Ethan drove her there himself. No assistance, no bodyguards, no hesitation. He had expected poverty, maybe neglect, the kind of hopelessness he'd seen in hidden corners of the city. But what he found instead shook him in a different way. The apartment was small, but it was clean. Humble but warm. Children's drawings covered the walls, each signed to Lily and Mommy. A single candle sat half-melted near the window. A sewing machine occupied the center of the room, evidence of Grace's attempt to earn extra income after her cleaning shifts. And on the bed lay Lily's mother, Grace, still, pale, her hand placed over her heart as though she had simply drifted away in her sleep. A quiet, peaceful face. A woman who had given everything until her body simply had no strength left. Ethan felt his chest tighten. He knelt beside her, touched her cold wrist, and closed his eyes. Memories he had buried long ago surged back. His own mother, working double shifts, her tired smile, the promises she made him that she never lived long enough to fulfill. He had sworn he would never feel that kind of pain again, that he would never let anyone close enough to hurt him. But Lily shattered that vow without even trying. He found himself staying longer than he should. Calling paramedics, speaking softly to Lily, making sure she ate something, making sure she wasn't frightened. And yet, the moment he stepped outside, he realized something deeper. He didn't want to leave her alone. Not tonight, not ever. The authorities spoke of foster care, temporary placement, paperwork, procedures. Their voices were cold, factual, distant. Ethan felt a surge of anger unlike anything he had felt in years. How could the world be so cruel to a child who had already lost everything? He stepped forward, calm, authoritative, unyielding, and said he would take responsibility for Lily that night. His lawyers arrived. Papers were arranged. Emergency permissions were granted. And Lily, terrified of a world suddenly too big and too empty, fell asleep in his office, curled into his oversized coat like it was a shield. Over the next days, something in Ethan began to change. He started noticing things he hadn't before, the quiet corners of life that success had blinded him to. Lily would sit in his office drawing pictures of her mother, of herself, and, surprisingly, of him too, always with two hearts floating above their heads. Guests and employees watched in disbelief as the cold CEO softened. He brought Lily breakfast. He walked her to school. He spoke gently. He smiled. He remembered how to be human. But transformation never comes without conflict. The board of directors whispered. Investors questioned. So, reporters speculated. Ethan Cole adopting an unknown child? Rumors flew like wildfire. They said she wasn't his responsibility. They warned that emotional entanglements could ruin him. They told him to let go, but for the first time in years, Ethan refused to listen. The more he spent time with Lily, the more he realized she wasn't saving him. He was saving himself. She reminded him of who he once was before wealth hardened him, before grief built walls around his heart. Then came the most painful night of all, the night Lily finally broke. The funeral had been small, quiet, with no family to claim grace except Ethan and Lily. That evening, Lily crawled onto Ethan's lap in his office chair. She trembled and cried without restraint, her hands clutching his shirt as though the world would end if she let go. She whispered through her tears that she feared he would leave her too, that adults always leave, that she didn't want to go anywhere else. And that was the moment Ethan knew. Not from pity, not from guilt, but from a place of raw truth he hadn't dared touch since childhood. Lily was no longer just a child he was helping. She had become the family he never thought he'd have again. He made the decision that night, not out of obligation, not out of charity, but out of love. Real, unquestionable love. He vowed he would adopt her, protect her, raise her. That he would give her the life her mother had dreamed of, but never had the chance to provide. Years later, Lily would stand on a stage accepting her scholarship award. She would look into the crowd and see Ethan, her father, clapping with proud tears in his eyes. The little girl who once whispered, my mom didn't wake up," had grown into someone strong, brilliant, and full of hope. And Ethan, once a man defined by loss, found himself healed by the love of a child who had taught him that broken hearts can still become whole. If this story touched your heart, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps these stories reach more people who need hope. And before we end, please take a moment to write in the comments what part of this story moved you the most. Thank you for watching, and may kindness always find its way back to you.